Escape from Violet Hold has been out for 2 days, and in that time we've seen it shake up the meta a lot. So in this video we'll be going over the best decks to climb to Legend right now. And as always, the code for all these decks will be in the description. Now let's get started with the very first deck, and it is Mage Shaman. Now Zee Shaman initially looked like the best, but that was because of a bug, so that got banned. But the other version of Zee Shaman, the Mage Shaman here, is extremely good. This version doesn't run any minions, but there are plenty of minions that you can generate. And the main thing you want to do with this deck is just really abuse that hero power. That's what makes this deck strong. Every turn you can cheat 2 mana, so it's like having 2 ramp from the start of the game, and we all know how strong a ramp is. So that means, of course, in early game you just want to have those minion generators, especially Blazing Invocation and Mountain Map are really good then, and yeah, Low Security Wing is alright too. And then later on in the game we have the cards like the Molten Gold, we got the Frost Shatter and the Storm Fury that transform into minions once you play some of these spells, and then you can cheat the mana on them as well. So it makes them really strong. Now this build is running a bit less greed, as you may have seen on ladder, but this seems to be the better build right now. So it's running Fire Breath, just 4 damage, and you're playing a bunch of elementals. All the transform minions are elementals. And then we're running Ascendance. Now I'm not entirely convinced by it, but the stats weren't too bad on it. Just really good. Once you get ahead, yeah, you play this, you transform your minions into bigger ones, and then yeah, it's really annoying to get rid of, especially in a meta without a lot of board clears. So this seems to be the best build right now. Then the second deck we have here is the Dragon Warrior. Now, yeah, it's pretty similar to before, with one big difference really. Is we're playing the 2 new legendaries in this deck with Chainbreaker, Hogger, and Warp Tooth, which of course the idea is that you get 2 Warp Tooths out very early. That's the only reason you're playing Hogger, because yeah, this card by itself isn't very good. There's no other legendaries in the deck either, so all you want to do is cheat out 2 Warp Tooths, and that is of course insanely strong. Getting a 6/6 with charge is already good, especially when it's a free, and yeah, it takes it out of your deck most of the time. That's also the reason why this deck has the Mother deck in it. It's just so you get 3 times a minion damage, so that Warp Tooth comes out of the deck. Not a lot of other stuff you do with this card. It's just really there for Warp Tooth. That's how powerful Warp Tooth is. And other than that, yeah, the deck is pretty much the same as before. Just curve out those dragons, win with your Dark Gifts, and then yeah, some beefy dragons here with the Slither Drake and the Wind Peak Worm. Then the third deck we have here, although maybe I should have put it as the second deck to fit with the theme of 2 in this deck. So yeah, 2 Rogue, whatever name it has. This is all about playing 2 drops and buffing your Lotus Troublemaker and the Jade Guardians here. You already probably saw it in the Brawl, but yeah, even in Standard it seems really strong. Rogue just has a ton of good 2 drops, and also it has Vanessa, which makes this deck work in early game. The card is just insanely powerful. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. It's like the best mulligan card in the game, maybe even the best card in the game right now, at least in Rogue it is. It's not really getting played in other decks, but yeah, in Rogue it's insanely broken, and yeah, that works for early game, and then yeah, you just play a bunch of 2 drops, which aren't really that bad by themselves, right? I mean, cards like Rider, Twilight, you know, Flashback, that kind of stuff was being played anyway. And then yeah, you get Jade Guardian, 0 mana, 8 drops. You know, pretty alright. And then if you keep the Lotus Troublemaker Mulligan or get it early, that's an insane amount of damage. I've been hit for over 30 damage in 1 turn, like turn 9. This skill's so fast and it's super scary, so that is what makes this deck work. And the fourth deck here is another familiar deck, though. Yeah, this one is built a bit differently now, the Face Hunter. But we are playing some new cards. First of all, we're playing the Shuffle cards, the Arcane Tripwire, and the Beast Tripwire. So then yeah, you can shuffle those cards. Not the greatest by themselves, but once you get those cards, it's really good. Of course, this deck has a ton of cards from with Tame Path tracking into the Curved Revolver, but also the Smuggled Shovel, which you can also get with Revolver, is really good. You just get so many free draws with that, and yeah, that's super strong. Definitely made this deck better. On top of that, we're also running the Underbelly network, because yeah, just more draw means you get those free cards of the Tripwire cards earlier, and yeah, free stuff is good. And yeah, the core of Face Hunter is just really good as well, as we saw last meta. So really strong deck at the moment. And another familiar deck here with a new twist. It is Pure Paladin, or Aura Paladin before, but now the neutral cards have been cut. We're just playing Paladin cards because we're playing Beatrix, and in Beatrix we got the Scarlet Bruiser. So yeah, tons of those, and those are really good, not just by itself, but also because we're playing the new Aura to summon 3 of them. And yeah, summon 3 minions from your deck for just 3 mana with a pretty good effect is really strong. And we're running the new Scarlet Recruiter as well, just summon 2 of them as well. So that helps a lot. Just kind of hope you don't get Violet Treasure Guild. So this card is even more important in a mulligan now than it was before. And the last card we have here that's new is also the Vigilant Sentry, because a 3 mana 6/9, yeah, is pretty strong in any meta, I'd say. So this deck got a nice upgrade with that new set. But other than those cards though, yeah, the rest of the deck is still the same, with cards like Nosdorbu and Gelbun having, and Flight Maneuvers having really powerful payoff turns. And here we have yet another deck with a new twist. It is the Egg Warrior, and well, the new twist is just like with Dragon Warrior, you just play Hogger, you play Warp Tooth. Yeah, that's pretty much the new twist. Nothing else is new in this deck, and it makes the deck better because you're more likely to have the egg on 3, which is of course important because this deck doesn't do anything besides the egg. And you have 2 Umbra, so just in case your opponent managed to clear 1 Umbra, you got another one. And the Warp Tooth, I mean, just like with Warrior, getting 2 free 3/3s with charge is insanely powerful, even in a deck like this, where you don't really care too much about the face damage. Just those free stats that you get, and basically free draw most of the time, is just very powerful. So a nice upgrade for the Egg Warrior. Then we have the next deck, which is the Chef Druid, and I'll say before we get to this and the rest of the decks is that there's actually a pretty big gap between the decks we just covered and this and the next few decks. I don't know why, but it's like a couple of % win rate between them, just nothing in between them. So while the first 6 decks, I think it is, are really good to climb, these are just okay to climb, and yeah, just there are options, but yeah, they're not the best options. Just, you know, if you want to play some of the new cards, some of the new legendaries you packed, these might be some good options for you. And first of all, we have the Chef Druid here with Chef Nephrak, of course, sending you to 10 mana on turn 6. So it's really nice with some of the synergy cards with, say, Spiteful Chef, the Lethal Recipe, and of course the big one is Ajara's Triumph. I think this is how you win a lot of the time in a late game. Get those huge minions out and then play them on the turn 6, turn 7, something like that. Now also this deck has the Doomsayer in it. Not entirely convinced by it as well, but this had a good win rate. The Doomsayer didn't have the worst stats. And I think, yeah, maybe a problem with this list is, of Chef decks in general, is just trying to survive the early game. So either you can try and play minions for that don't have too big of an impact early on or late game, or we have the Doomsayer here, which just might deny your opponent's next turn, right? And it's just really annoying to clear. Works well against the Shaman decks, I think, because they don't quite deal easily with 7 health this early. And then you can also freeze a minion to go with it for like a good old freeze mage combo. But if you don't want to play it, that's fine. I don't think it's too important. But yeah, this list was showing the most promise. And then we have Quest Mage. Yeah, not much of an update here. It's the same deck. We just added a 1 mana discover card to it because, yeah, it says discover, it's 1 mana. What's not to like about it? A small upgrade to the deck, but yeah, still a playable deck. Yeah, just as before, you just want to discover quickly, equip the weapon, and then play your payoffs with the 3 mana Raptor Herald and the Stonehill Defender and Morchi. So you try and hold on to those until you've completed the quest. Then here we have the third Warrior deck. Yes, Hogger and Warp Tube are doing a lot of work for Warrior. It's really powerful that you see multiple Warrior decks here just because of that combination. And this build is doing the Logos combo with the 3 Blood Fighters that I think they showed in the reveals as well for these cards, that you can use it with that. And this seems okay, not amazing, but is an option maybe for a Logos. If you have that card, you want to play it or have it in signature like I got. This seems like an okay deck to play. I mean, it's got the Warp Tooth Hogger combo, but also potentially have 6 Blood Fighters in a row, which is really annoying to deal with for the opponent. Just make sure if you're against the Spell Shaman, the Dominion Shaman, Mug Shaman, that you play Valera first, so your first Blood Fighter doesn't get immediately hexed. Because that would be kind of a shame for this card to immediately get hexed, or at least the other 2, and then yeah, you have to replay those other cards while they are ahead on board. And here we have the Zee Shaman. Now, like I said earlier, Slackclaw did get banned, but it doesn't mean that the deck is completely dead. The stats on this looked alright as well. And maybe when people try out more builds for this deck, it's also going to be better, but it seemed alright at the moment. So we got Muggsy, so every 5th minion Battlecry triggers twice. So what we want to do with that is, of course, get some big Battlecries going that we then get twice, such as twice the Elise. I mean, Security Bot is pretty strong, or just the Herald cards like Envoy of the End. Skyball Sentinel is kind of a big Battlecry, I would even say, and the Ultraction, so we get some big Herald stuff going, and then you can even get potentially double Alakir Battlecry, get 4 10 drops hopefully, then for 1 mana, and it seems like a pretty good late game. Just make sure with this deck always that yeah, you really keep this hero power in mind. It's super important, so don't just play minions and waste that hero power. Just really set it up. Sometimes you want to actually not play minions just so you save it for a big battle cry. So you really have to think ahead with this hero power, because that is what makes this deck work. Then we get to the final two decks. We got two Priest decks here that look playable. I know a lot of you like Priest, and I like Priest as well. So we got two different Priest decks here. First of all, we have a Soothsayer deck with here the new the Taunt with Prepare cards. So the idea with this deck is to copy it with Schism, then get two of them. Hopefully it's combined, but doesn't necessarily have to. You can just have it as a copy for 4 mana, and it's just a ton of stats that is pretty hard to deal with. You can then res it with Kalia Menethil, or just get those death rattles again with Endbringer Umbra, or with the Undeath Sentence to get those death rattles. And also, because this is a shadow spell, it's a lot easier to complete the quest here, which we have here with Reach Equilibrium, so you can get those quests. You can even copy the quest rewards as well, of course, that's really strong. Get those 8/8s with Reborn and Death Rattle copied, and then you can also use that with Umbra as a Death Rattle card. And then it also has the Ruby Sanctum package with Mend and the Holy Embrace, so you can kill some minions early while drawing, or push some extra damage. So a lot of flexibility with this deck, a lot of different ways to win the game. And the last deck I have here is the Control Priest. I know this is always very popular, and I've also played a couple of games with this last set, a couple of 100 games. But yeah, this one is a bit different, so this build looks like to be the best, though. Maybe the Ment build with Ruby Sanctum and Flash Heals might be better, but this looked alright at the moment, and it's playing a bunch of new cards, so that's why I want to highlight this one. So yeah, it's running the same core package, of course, as before with Control Priest, but now it's running again the Soothsayer here as well with the Undeath Sentence. So make sure you don't get the Death Rattle cards of your Imbue hero power, because then, yeah, you might get the, you know, a -2 health Death Rattle spell instead of the heal of Soothsayer plus the 6-drop. So just keep that in mind with this deck. I'm also running the Holy Embrace just because it's a nice flexible card. It procs the quest, it's some healing damage. Just a very nice flexible card for a lot of Priest decks. So this might be the new build going forward, or something close to this, but we'll have to see how the meta develops, because a deck like this is always very dependent on what is in the meta, because of course you want to play different removals for different metas and different kind of win cons for different metas. Because for example now, right, the Shaman deck, the Mage Shaman is very popular. Now that doesn't really have the most amazing late game, so I guess that's why maybe this is better now, because yeah, you don't really need that ODK, because you'll just outlast the Shaman eventually, and yeah, you win that way, so no need to play the OTK combo then. And those are all the decks I got for you today, with a ton of new legendaries in pretty much all these decks. So let me know, what have you been playing? Do you think I missed one deck here? Let me know in the comments down below. If the video was helpful, make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and until next time.